Hey everyone, and welcome to Almost Cancelled. I'm Peter, that is Connor, and we are going to talk about Homecoming Season 1, Episode 1. It is called Mandatory. So we will start spoiler free because it is an Episode 1, and we will give you a warning in the middle before we go into spoilers. But this is the new Amazon Prime original. This is directed by Sam Esmail of Mr. Robot fame, although he did not write this, he only directed the whole thing. But that is enough to pique our interest, and this is a 10 episode show. It's surprising when I looked at it today that the episodes are all about 30 minutes. They range from about 27. I think the finale is like 39, and that's
37. I think, and that's the longest.
And that's the longest one. Interesting they chose to do it that rather than having just 5.
Yeah,
hour-long
it's
episodes.
essentially, like I say, it's 5 hours in total.
Yeah.
Which is about half the length of what we usually expect for these before the fact.
Yeah, it kind of goes back to how some of these streaming services are kind of experimenting, because typically in the past, if you told me something was that length, I'd assume it was a sitcom or a comedy. But, between Netflix and Amazon, they're trying these things, but no, it's like a serious show that's only 25, 30 minutes long.
Yeah, yeah. And there's been a few that have been kind of in the middle, like straddling the line, right?
Yeah.
But this is firmly in the drama category.
Oh, absolutely. There's no doubt this is in that category.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say there was nothing amusing, but it was not a comedy by any means. So, we were really impressed with the trailer for this as well. We thought it was really intriguing, and Julia Roberts is the lead, and she plays a character called Heidi, who is working at this homecoming facility, which is like a place, almost like a rehabilitation. Doesn't seem like the right word, but it's like soldiers who come back from duty, and it's to sort of help them get reintegrated into society. Get them set up with job skills and things of that nature.
But obviously it feels like there's some more going on.
Yeah. Therapy's a big thing. And I think this first episode, more than anything, is just about teasing, like, there's more to this.
It's very much a mystery at this point. Yeah. So we can tell you there's a mystery. We can't really spoil it yet because
Not yet.
no real idea what's happening there.
I'll say this, it went in so damn quick that when Sam Esmail, because the first credit at the end is directed by Sam Esmail, that just pops up on the screen without cutting to black. When that popped up, I was like, whoa, I'm done, okay.
Yeah.
It's over.
Esmail likes messing with credits, apparently.
It does. What's notable, though, is actually that the credits did feel very Mr. Robot-esque, I thought, at the start.
Yeah.
The way they came up. And I think, just speaking about the direction, first of all, obviously Mr. Robot has that thing where there's a lot of headroom. That's kind of its stylistic, calling card, right? That's the... that's just what it is. And I was like, okay, well, you can't really just do that again. But what's funny to me is that right from the opening shot, you could tell it was Sam Esmail, even though he wasn't typically doing the big headroom. Because I think even he knows that the big headroom is Mr. Robot.
Yeah. He can't just be a one-trick pony.
Yeah. But even the way the camera moved, the way it was framing in other ways, the colour palette, there's a lot of things about it that still feels very Sam Esmail.
I agree. And the direction is probably the strongest part.
Yeah. No, it is. It's great. And it does this thing where it cuts to these... other scenes that take place in a different part of the timeline, where it's a different aspect ratio, and it's a weird aspect ratio.
Because I remember when we saw the trailer, I think we just thought, oh, it's 4:3, right?
No, I'm pretty sure I pointed out that this was weird, and it was like even skinnier than
okay.
that. Yeah, because it's like I want to say 45, something in that range. It's skinnier.
It is skinnier,
than it is wider.
In my memory, it has become 4:3 from the trailer, because obviously it's been a couple of months since we watched that trailer, and I just normalized it in my head, and then it cut to that in this episode. I was like, oh, okay, that's skinnier.
Oh, it's really skinny, and it's funny because I'm someone who will complain when someone records a video on their phone.
That's almost the feeling of it.
Oh, it's not quite that shape. It's definitely
not quite. It's
wider
close,
than that.
though, isn't it?
But like, I'm someone who complains about that because I think we have the reason why almost every aspect ratio we film things in are horizontal is because it just looks better for our eyes, because our eyes are side by side. Therefore, horizontal images are better in terms of a vista of an image. But here's the thing. Obviously, it's weird. I think it wants to feel weird. It wants to make you feel uncomfortable and like, what's going on here. That's very much the intended feeling.
There's a very obvious dramatic, thematic point to it. of just feeling closed in and
yeah,
trapped.
closed in, especially since it's switching between the ratios where it's 16:9 for the bulk of the show, the main part of the show, and it's like, okay, now it feels like someone's hiding, and they very much are. When we get into spoilers, we'll talk about kind of the setup in these scenes, but it feels like people are trying to hide parts of their lives, and that's kind of what the narrower field of view kind of means. What I think is interesting though is that because typically I associate a taller image with a crappy camera phone piece of footage, I think of it as looking like garbage. But the weird thing is here is that it still has the Sam Esmail direction. It's still doing these tracking shots going around like a diner, and it's revealing things as it's coming back. And I'm like, this is weird. This is like proper like filmmaking with a really weird ratio. It was like a weird surreal feeling.
The final shot where the credits come up over, as we said, is in that ratio, and it's a gorgeous shot, and it just sits on it, and you watch the credits come up over it.
Yeah, you can tell it's still a good camera. I think that's the other thing, is that I'm so used to images of that kind of shape being on a shitty little camera phone as opposed to a proper film camera.
It's true. Yeah.
So, and when I say film camera, I don't necessarily mean actually shot with film. I just mean an actual professional quality camera. But so yeah, it's interesting, but it definitely gave it a unique feel. And I don't necessarily want everything to start doing this, but I'm on board for one show to use it as a device.
Yeah, they got in there first. It's their thing now.
Absolutely. So a lot of this is set up. It's setting up the mystery. It's also setting up Heidi's character, and I think the opening shot clearly shows that she really cares about this job she's got, and she's really got everything neatly set up, and she's kind of waiting there nervously, almost, but excited for her first proper patient, and it's kind of how dedicated she is, and it's setting up that she's here, but she's kind of in over her head. There's someone sort of pulling the strings from behind, that kind of thing, and it's kind of setting this stuff up and setting up who the characters are. And I think that's the crux of the first episode more than anything else. I suppose I'll ask though, did you like it? Did you like the first episode?
I don't know. Like, I love the direction. Don't get me wrong, like, it's stylish as hell, right?
Yeah.
Like, every shot, it's like, okay, it's so Esmail's so confident in what he's doing. You have to be confident when you're doing stuff that's pretty out there, right?
Yeah.
But the actual mystery, it's so vague as to what's actually happening that I don't know if I'm into it yet.
I almost wonder if it was intended to be more of a binge. I mean, obviously it is a binge show in terms of how it's been released, but I almost wonder if it was written in mind as like, no, you're going to watch this as 1 5-hour chunk as opposed to splitting it up, and that's why after one episode you don't feel like you've had enough of a bite of the mystery.
Yeah, like
yet.
I don't. Yeah, it's a case of it's not bad. It's definitely not bad, but I don't know if I'm into it or not. I haven't had enough time to judge it yet.
I think I'm into it. I think the dramatic point at the very end before the credits hit kind of worked for me, because it instead of like teasing the mystery and okay, what's the shady thing that's going on behind the scenes, what is the purpose of this whole homecoming thing, it kind of sold it to me on, okay, this character Heidi cares about what she's doing, even if the means of why she has this job or who's behind it don't. And her like thing at the end of the episode, the final thing she says is like, oh, the fact that she's sort of turning her back on everything she's kind of been throughout the episode so far says, okay, something bad must have happened, something must have,
It feels like she's been thrown under the bus. Like,
possibly,
she's been the scapegoat for this facility.
Possibly. Either that or she might just be, I don't know. It could just be more that she's.
It's something we'll come back to in spoilers. So I've got some actual things on this to discuss in context with dialogue. But
yeah, so no, I'm into it. I think for me, because I saw the reviews have been mostly positive. I did say like I think varieties were like, oh, it's all style and no substance. For me,
hell of a style though.
It's a hell of a style. For me, depending on the style, though, sometimes style can become the substance. The style can be what makes the actual scenes work and what makes the... Because I think the performances are pretty good. There's a strong sense of Heidi's character, her boyfriend character also. There's a great conversation between them that is so awkward and so atypical for how you actually shoot a conversation in film or TV. But it neatly shows their type of relationship and how kind of disjointed it is. And it's like, okay, all right, that worked, even though you never see that, and that's kind of what made it work almost. Is it's like, yeah, you never see them see it shown like this and edited like this.
No, it's true. I'm definitely down to watch more. Don't be wrong.
Yeah.
I'm not convinced yet, but I think it's just well, I've only had 25 minutes. I'm not. I've not had enough time to be convinced yet.
I think I'm on board. But I will say, when I say I'm on board, I think I'm into it. I think I'm really going to enjoy this, and I think I'm saying that less in a way that I would that I've watched like the first episode of a TV show like a pilot, and more that I've watched the first like 15 minutes of a 2 hour movie, and I think I'm going to like the movie. I bet it's only 15 minutes in. I can only judge it in 15
Yeah.
minutes so far.
Yeah. Okay. I understand that feeling.
Because it feels like the first few scenes of a movie as
It
opposed
does.
to the first complete episode. And it's one of the things we come back to a lot with streaming shows is does each episode feel like a complete chapter on its own, which if you are watching them individually split up, does it feel like a full meal where at the beginning, the middle, and end, and you feel like you got a full chapter with a little cliffhanger? Because the thing we always go back to is in a book, a chapter still should feel like it has an ending, so that you feel like you can end there and you can come back later, because most people don't necessarily have time to sit and read a whole book in one sitting.
Yeah. And
That's
interestingly, I feel this episode has a very defined ending.
as a defined
It's
ending
like
for sure, yeah.
it has a like okay, that's the end of the episode. That's the end of your chapter. Absolutely. It's the rest of it where I don't know. Did I get enough of that? Would this have benefited from being another 10 minutes and giving us a little bit more in this first episode?
Right now, if I was to guess, I'd say it's a 5 hour movie that's been split up, but because it's been split up, Esmail has made a point of giving each one a defined ending moment, even if it doesn't necessarily form a full arc of the episode.
Yeah,
But
I agree with that.
but like I say, I do think the final moment does kind of at least subvert who we've set up as the character up until that point, and it tells us something emotionally, even if it doesn't tell us anything concrete about what actually has happened.
Definitely.
So it adds a bit to the mystery, but adds it through the character changes rather than anything else.
Mm.
And I'm into that. But yeah, so I think that's a spoiler-free review because it's a shorter episode, so these won't. Even though there's a lot of mystery to talk about, I don't think these are going to be too long.
Yeah, unless there's some huge bombshells.
Yeah. So, well, full spoilers then for episode 1 of Homecoming, and so I mean, it was not hard to get from what we said, but yeah, the stuff in the different aspect ratios in the future. It's later on. It's 4 years later. And Shea Wiggum's character, who's an actor I like, is from the DOD, and he's there to investigate because there's been complaints about this homecoming. And we find out Julia Roberts Heidi is in this diner, this seaside diner on the docks, and he's there to talk to her about homecoming. She's very squeamish about talking about it. She's like, "Oh, I'll get a break and I'll come out and see you afterwards."
Yeah, she doesn't want to talk about it around anyone else, and a lot of the questions it's I don't remember.
Yeah, and she clearly does, but she does not want to answer these questions at all. I think the way she's kind of dodging the questions and refusing to bring it up, I think. So I do think something bad happened. She could be the scapegoat.
Well, the reason I keep thinking that
Right.
is he kept saying, "Oh, so you were the administrator." Everything official with the paperwork
Sure.
makes it seem like she was the head, where obviously we know she wasn't. She was doing it on behalf of someone else, right?
Yeah.
What was it? The guy when he was on the phone, he said, "You're my liaison." No, it wasn't liaison. There was a specific word he used. It said, you're my eyes and ears." There, basically, you're running it.
Yeah, and obviously she cared about actually giving therapy, and that scene comes right after she's had the first scene with Walter's character, who's the main soldier we sort of meet.
Yeah.
And he she's very kind with him, and he's very receptive to her. They make small talk. It feels like she cares about what he's feeling. She tries to help him. And then she's on the phone to her boss here, Colin Belfast, who's played by Bobby Carnival, and he's like, "No, this is about dad. This is not about being holistic. If I say holistic to when I'm pitching this to the DOD later, they ain't going to take any of it. Like, no, this is about dad. So get the dad.
Get it quick."
And I think one of the things that really stuck out to me as this is going on, it's a gorgeous winner. This by the way, and she's on the phone. There's like this winner going through rooms, and we see like a guy with a trolley of lamps just going past the rooms, and we see Walter come out and like grab one of the lamps, but it's off an assembly line almost, where he just takes a lamp.
Yeah.
Where and kind of like what he's saying over the phone is that they are just data, they're just numbers in a machine, they're just the next door, as opposed to
the therapy doesn't matter as far as he's concerned.
But that's how she sells it to him. And she makes a point of getting him to say on tape that he is here of his own free will. He is not being forced into this. And that's one of the big dramatic points at the end with Shea Wiggum's character, whose name is Carrasco. He says, he asks multiple times, will the patients there of their own free will, or were they being forced? and she refuses to answer. She can't answer.
She actually says, "I don't know."
Yeah.
And he says, they've got a complaint. Someone said they tried to leave, but they weren't allowed.
Yes.
That's why this investigation is happening at all.
And I'm sure we'll see that. I'm sure we'll see whatever that is about as we go through the story. And I do like the dramatic point where he actually brings up Walter's name. He's like, "Hey, Walter Cruz, does that name mean anything to you?" And there's music throughout this scene. And as soon as she says no, the music just cuts out. And she walks off, and then he's left standing. That's when the credits come up, and he's just left standing there in this awkward. And why that hits so hard, I think, and why it works is because she does actually care about him in the main story. She cares about what he's going through. She tries to help him. She offers advice. He jokes about the bird. He's like, "I'll take the bird, care of the bird that's making noise for you." All that kind of thing. So her to like dismiss his existence like that, it's like, okay, what happened? Why is she so scared about talking about any of this? And I can see her being a bit of a scapegoat. I don't know if she's necessarily hiding because she's a scapegoat, though. I feel like she's just hiding in general from this and everything about it.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Like I said, it's hard to grasp exactly.
Like, is she allowed to talk about any of this? Is there someone who's going to come and see her if she does talk about any of this? Is that what she's worried about?
Yeah. It could be. There's a lot going on here, potentially.
Yeah.
But no, that final shot there where it just leaves him stood on the pier. And we just sit there and watch the credits for a good, 45 seconds maybe?
Yeah, because I kept watching until it went to black, because I was just in case something important happened. Like, there was a little tease or something.
I don't trust Esmail not to do something.
I know. He's a sneaky man. Joe, I'll say it's weird. My Amazon Prime map started counting down to the next episode like really early, and then when it got to 0, it hadn't cut to black yet. The little box just went away, and it just kept playing.
That's weird.
It's like it thought, "Oh, this is the end," but it was like, "Oh wait, no, there's more left. We can't go to the next episode yet."
That is strange.
Because I was worried for a second. I was like, "No, I don't want to go to the next episode. I want to see the rest of this credits."
Do you know what that is? Because if I watch on the desktop or on the PlayStation app, I never have a problem. There's been times where if I'm watching something on my tablet, it will cut off the last 20 seconds consistently.
Oh, that's annoying.
And I have to go back and force it to stay on it. Sometimes it's a right bitch about it. And this is an Amazon tablet as well, so it shouldn't be a problem.
There should be some synchronicity happening here.
Exactly.
That is not happening, yes. No, I'm super on board. I think the direction, the style, and the general mood of finding out what's happening here. I'm intrigued by what's going on and what they're covering up.
I'll be honest, I think I'm feeling it more as we're talking about it.
Okay.
Yeah, one of those, like, now it's I'm digesting it a little. It's sitting with me a bit more. Maybe I'm just getting into it a bit as we're discussing it. But
cool.
Yeah.
I think there's 2 other scenes we should talk about specifically. Obviously we glossed over the phone call thing. I wasn't even mentioning that one there, but yeah, the phone call with him like talking about data and how no one really matters and blah blah blah. And she's to be focused because they've got like 6 weeks to make their case and whatnot.
Yeah.
But the 2 scenes that I think we should talk about is the one we kind of mentioned spoiler free with the boyfriend when she goes home, because again it shows you what type of character she is, where he's looking for like a romantic dinner with his girlfriend, and she's like, "No, I got to work." And then when she's eating later and it's kind of cold, and he's trying to like make small talk with her and talk about maybe moving here and becoming a pilot, because he's like, "I could be a pilot."
She's like, "What are you going on about? I wanted something casual." He's like, "Well, we've been dating nearly a year." She's like, "Really? A year?" So she just doesn't believe it.
But there's this weird thing where they're talking over each other and they're so out of sync in a way that you don't typically see in TV dialogue. And I think part of it is because I'm assuming they're both mic'd up at the same time here, because that's the only way you could maybe do this, unless you just record them separately and overlay them between the shots. But
yeah, either would work.
Yeah, because typically whenever I was making stuff as a student, like, no, you made sure everyone was just talking once at a time because it was too much of a pain to work around it otherwise. It was just making a headache for yourself.
Yeah, depends how they're micing them.
I mean, they're at a table. They could probably hide a mic quite easily.
They could. Obviously, little clip mic under the clothes would do the job as well.
But it was just it felt so unusual and different. But I think it was a big character scene for her because it was really telling us her attitude towards him and how different she is. Because she's very neat and organised. I think the opening shot of her overhead of her desk, where she's sort of lining things up, is like, okay, she's very particular. She really cares about what she's doing, and she's very neat and tidy. And she's almost got her boyfriend into this box where, okay, you're maybe this casual thing who's just here for this, and now you're trying to go out of that box, and that's really upsetting me.
She doesn't like it at all.
And the conversation's very awkward because of that.
That personality still follows through to the future scenes. In that, obviously, she's kind of laying low and she's looking like she's more relaxed, right? Just she's waitress in this bar, but as soon as he comes in and wants to talk, it's like, right, outside. She has to compartmentalize it, and like, all right, okay, no, this is this box. Keep it separate from here.
Yeah. And the other thing I think we need to talk about is the shoe job interview.
Yeah.
Shoe salesman job interview. The shoe job interview. I'm here for the shoe job. Hire me. And they do like a mock job interview, and they're getting their interview skills up. And they did it with Walter first, and he does all right. He's being friendly. He's talking about experience and whatnot. He doesn't have experience, but he kind of relates to something. And he's like, and the guy's like, that's really good. So how about you next? And this guy's a bit more fidgety, a bit more argumentative, confrontational. And he's like, so this is my shoe store welcome. And he's like, all this, and he's being sarcastic, and he's like, do you know anything about shoes? Not a damn thing. And he kind of forces a story out of him about how it's something you can relate to shoes, like what experience do you have that would somehow relate to this job? And he ends up talking about how he got his foot infected because he had shoes that were the wrong size, and it's important to have the right size of shoes. And you can sort of see how you might spin that into some sort of shoe salesman speech.
Just about, yeah. Like, make sure it fits.
Yeah, not that I don't think anyone wants to hear from the salesman about how he almost got his toe cut off. Because it was too infected. Because the imagery's not very nice.
I'll be honest, I just don't want a shoe salesman. Just, look, I can see the shoes. Let me just pick what I want.
I feel that way about 99.9% of the stores that I go into for anything.
So do I.
I don't want people to come and talk to me. Do you know what? One of the things I hate? See, whenever I see people complaining that the waiters or the waitresses don't pay as much attention to them, I actually hate. Once I've got my food, I don't want to see when they come and ask me how the food is. They always come up with a mid-bite every time.
Every time. I think they time it. I think they go, I'm getting them then.
And it pisses me off. I hate someone asking me a question when my mouth is full. It's fine with the person you're having dinner with because you've got a rhythm going because you're both eating, right? And you're sort of in a groove. But when someone, like some outsider, comes up and talks to you when you're mid-mouthful, it's like, go away!
I accept that they'll do it once because everywhere does it once, right?
Sure.
It's when they come back and do it a second time, or someone else hasn't realised they've asked, and they come and do the round as well and ask. I'm like, piss off now. Let me eat.
I'm going to starfire you in the knuckles in a minute.
That is a serious threat.
I've got a fork and I'm dangerous. I know how to use it. But this scene gets, of course, violent because he gets argumentative with the counsellor who's going through this with them, and then Walter has to step in. There's a couple of punches thrown, and so I think again, this is a type of show where I'm kind of looking for meaning in what we're hearing.
Yeah.
And we're talking about this thing. He's ignoring his foot. He's ignoring the problem and hoping it'll go away. And he almost gets cut off. I can't help but think about Heidi's story here and how she's in this job. She thinks it's all fine. And yeah, sure, there's this seedy back thing going on about how they want data, but I can still do good here. I can ignore that and just get this done.
And it even applies to her stuff in the future. She's just, all right, I'm hiding. I'm ignoring it, pretending it didn't happen. Oh, I don't know anything.
I think even the idea that for her, the homecoming thing was kind of her tour of duty almost, and that's kind of her, like, what she has post-traumatic stress about.
Yeah, okay.
Is that, I mean, maybe that's a bit of a stretch, but the idea that was her big thing, and now she's struggling to get over that. Potentially.
I'm not willing to commit to that yet, but
I'm making
there's
a leap
to contradict it yet.
I'm making a leap just because I'm looking at what's presented in the show so far and how the themes of what the soldiers have been through and what we're going to talk to them about kind of relates to our main character.
I'm willing to accept that as a possibility.
Yeah.
Also, I'm pretty sure we may have mentioned this in the trailer, but what has Esmail got with fish?
The man likes fish.
He's got a thing for fish. I don't get it.
Fish are all right. I mean, I think a fish. I mean, let's be honest. I like the fish tank more than I like the fish. The fish tank's got a pretty light. It's pretty to look at. It's soothing.
Yeah, you like it until you have to clean the bastard.
The fish themselves, I feel like if
you have to have them to have the tank. You can't just have a tank there.
Sure you can. Why not?
Because that's weird.
Why is that weird? Yeah, I just want the pretty light and the reflection of the water around the room. That's all I want, really.
Yeah, that's weird. You have to have the fish. You can't just have a tank full of water in the room and not have people question it. You put a fish in there, it's fine, whatever.
I'm just saying, I don't really see the point of having a fish because to me, if you can't like pet the animal you've got, there's no point in having the animal. You can't pet a fish.
You could probably stroke it. You can probably get your hand in and give it a little pet. I don't think it'll appreciate it very much, but you probably could.
It won't appreciate it, and you get your hand all wet. If you can't tickle under your pet's chin and watch them go as if they're like in heaven, what's the point?
Fish love having their belly stroked.
Piss off. No point. No point. Fish tanks are great. The fish themselves, they're basically just there to justify
give you a reason to have a fish tank.
Yeah, they're just there to justify the fish tank, but all anyone really wants is the fish tank.
Oh, I hope we have some very passionate fish owners in our comment section.
I would, and I'm not saying if you like fish, go like fish. I just don't get it. But I mean, I like to eat fish, but
I had fish tonight. It was
that's
delicious.
the different thing. I had fish last night. I had Chinese tonight, so no fish tonight. But I wonder if what fish dishes the Chinese do? Do they do any fish dishes? I've never had one from Chinese. If they do,
I've had like things in China with like prawns in it.
Sure. Japanese, of course, has a lot of fish-based.
Yeah. I feel like let's say the only one that I think of is here's prawns in your rice or noodles, whatever you've got.
Aye.
But
I don't know. Just a random thought. Anyway, so fish tanks are great, and I'm just saying people want fish tanks.
Is that what we're ending this episode on? Fish tanks are great,
especially the one in this one where it's like built into the wall. Like it's one thing having a table with a fish tank on it, but if you have like a really fancy one built into the wall, I think that looks quite smart.
Okay.
Yeah. Anything else you'd like to add?
No, I think we covered it all. I mean, that's why I went to the fish. I was like, all right, we've done everything. I'll mention the fish.
Yeah.
I didn't expect that to be quite a significant section as it was.
Well, don't worry. The second episode will be even more controversial because the second episode is called Pineapple, and whenever that subject comes up, the pizza debate will be mentioned depending on
pizza last night.
Oh, did you? Yeah. Don't know when I last had pizza. I got kind of sick of it. Every so often, I'll notice I've eaten too much pizza recently, and I'll be like, I need to take a break from the pizza.
Yeah. Never too much pizza.
Yeah. Anyway, that is Homecoming episode 1. So disregard the last 5 minutes because that was just gibberish. But everything before that, hopefully it was an enjoyable debate and conversation as to what the show might be. Not a lot to go on as of yet. This will be very incremental, this one. We're hoping to do episodes of this every other day, swapping with Sabrina, which we're doing over from Netflix. So hopefully people are checking this out and digging it and enjoying the style. But that is episode 1. So let us know what you thought of this one in the comments below. Like and subscribe, all that stuff. If you want to support the channel and everything we do here, head over to patreon.com/MailFuzzTV. And you can do that over there and feel warm and fuzzy inside. Worth mentioning as well, if you're listening to the audio feed for this, you're on the Almost Cancelled audio feed, which has a lot of different shows on it. Netflix audio feed's a separate one. If you want to check that out, you can search for that too. Just go to Patreon actually, because Patreon has a nice list of all the different shows and feeds and the top post.
Yeah, it's just there at the top, and just for your convenience.
Yes. So that is us. So thank you very much once again for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching TV. And I just realised we're over the runtime of the episode. If we'd cut out the fish conversation, maybe not.
We'd be about dead on.
Yes. But thank you very much once again. We'll see you guys next time. Keep watching TV. Have you got any vanilla?